Hello there, amazing hackers, and welcome to this tutorial. In the previous video, we looked at the reflection and the reflector plugin, and we demonstrated how we can use these plugins to test for XSS in the wild and on the go. These two extensions can be used to find any parameter whose value is getting reflected into the HTTP response of a request, and in this way, we can test a bunch of parameters together and find out which ones are potentially vulnerable to cross-site scripting vulnerability. In this video, we are going to talk about blind XSS, and we are going to talk about some more techniques that we can use to find XSS. So first, let's talk about what is blind XSS. So blind XSS is a type of stored XSS. That means whatever payload that we are sending, it is actually getting stored on a web page. Let's talk about where you can find them. You can find them in places that you cannot access. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about admin panels or a log history that is storing the headers of every user who's visiting the web application and the access to which is only restricted to the admins. Feedback forms that go straight to the admin, and even chatbot messages that are there on a bunch of applications, and these messages go straight to the support team. So I hope you're thinking what I'm thinking. I mean, after looking at the entry points of where I can find these cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, I begin to start thinking where I can inject my payloads. So where can you put your payloads? Well, you can put your payloads in the headers, like you can put it in the referrer header or the user agent header that can potentially get logged into the log history, and especially while filling forms on web applications. And apart from this, you can put your payload in your username as well, and maybe try self-reporting yourself so that the admin has to view your profile, and if the XSS pops into his page, then it's a vulnerability. But but how will we know if an XSS has actually popped or not? That's the big question because we won't be having access to uh, the admin's page, or we cannot test whether the backend of the admin's application is actually vulnerable or not. So the answer to that is XSS Hunter. So without any further ado, let's look at what is so special about XSS Hunter. For XSS Hunter, you need to visit this URL, xsshunter.com, and you need to create a new account. So for that, you need to go to sign up, and you need to enter your name or a dummy name, your username, password, and email that you own. I would recommend that you enter your own personal email address and not a temporary email address, and I will tell you later why. And you can also pick your custom subdomain. Then you need to click on sign up, and once your registration is done, you need to go to XSS Hunter and you need to sign in over here. This is the UI of XSS Hunter, and here, as you can see, we have a payloads section that contains several payloads for different contexts where we can use them. And inside the payloads, you can observe that there is a URL that you made while creating your account in XSS Hunter. And this URL is unique for you. We have a payload that actually contains a URL. That's interesting, right? So let's just visit what is there in this URL. So in this URL, we have a huge JavaScript code, and I'm just going to summarize what this does. So it basically creates a report when an XSS vulnerability exists on the backend, and it mails that report back to us. It finds out exactly where in the web page is our payload getting reflected inside the DOM. And with the help of this payload, we can actually find blind XSS. I'm just going to show you how this exactly works. So let's just copy it and let's go to an intentionally vulnerable page that I know for a fact that this search box is vulnerable. So let's just enable Puntbox and set the proxy to Burp Suite, see whether it's working or not. Yep, we are getting requests over here. Okay, perfect. So the HTTP requests are getting logged into Burp Suite, and here is the test query that we searched for. Now, instead of test, let's try to put an XSS payload over here. Alright, so it's vulnerable. Now, instead of my payload, let's put one of XSS Hunter's payload. And I'm just going to remove this because I know it will work without it as well. Let's hit on go. And that's all. Magic happened. So this is exactly what will happen when an admin would open uh, something that you have sent him that contains your payload, and he will notice nothing. But in the backend, what actually happened would be you'll go back to your XSS Hunter, and on XSS fires, you shall receive that a payload was fired. Let's just refresh this page. Yep, here as you can see, we have the victim's IP. Here we have the screenshot of what the page actually looked like. Now, when you're actually testing web applications, this would be the screenshot of the admin panel. If at all the admin panel is vulnerable to XSS, you're going to use your blind XSS payload, and if at all the admin panel is vulnerable and the admin opens your message or in whatever form you want to send your payload, a screenshot would be taken of his page and you would be sent the screenshot. Along with that, you would be sent the IP address of the admin, and you will be sent the URL of the vulnerable page. And if I click on view full report, here I will get more information like what was the user agent of the victim, any cookies that were there at the time he clicked on it, and we'll also get the document object model, and we'll get where exactly our script payload was inserted. And we can take a screenshot of this while making our report to help the developers find out where exactly is the vulnerability and how they can resolve it. And we can also generate a markdown report. It's really neat and tidy, and definitely we can send this report to report in a blind XSS vulnerability. And that is how XSS Hunter works. So this whole bunch of JavaScript code was actually doing all of this, taking a screenshot, getting the URL that's vulnerable, finding the IP address of the victim, fetching the referrer and the user agent header, and fetching the cookies of the user and finding out where exactly in the document object model our payload got executed. And not only that, I would also get an email about uh, my XSS getting fired, because as a bug hunter, I am not sure when the admin would actually view my payload. So just to alert me whenever my payload fires, I would be sent an email into my personal account. Sometimes it comes to the spam section, so you should be aware of that. And now let's talk about a few more cool tricks that you can use when you're hunting for XSS.